Listen, I don't know if you guys know this, but I had like a pretty big life-changing event happen to me a few weeks ago. I got married. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I figured I would sit down with you guys and do a little like catch-up Q&A. Listen, I don't know if you guys know this, but I had like a pretty big life-changing event happen to me a few weeks ago. I got married. So it's not a big deal, but I am now a married woman. I was a whole bride and now I am a whole wife. So I figured it would take time and sit down with you guys. I popped up a question poll on my Instagram and I asked you guys what questions you had about the wedding, about the honeymoon, about kind of just like my life as a whole now. If you guys had any questions, I wanted to be able to sit down and take the time and answer them for you, because I know over the like week and a half of the wedding / honeymoon, besides like posting pictures and things of food and little things here and there, I basically was off the grid, which was really, really nice for me. I didn't post workouts. I really didn't fill you guys in on too much at all. But honestly, it felt really nice. But now I'm back and I figured I would sit down and have a little chat with you guys. So first things first, obviously everyone and their mother and their grandmother wants to know what my rings look like. So I figured I would show you guys. So this is what my wedding ring and my engagement ring look like together. So when Timmy bought my engagement ring, that was actually the band that he knew came with it. So when it was time for us to go back and shop for my wedding band, it was super easy and simple because we just got the one that was matching my engagement ring. So a very easy process. I am absolutely obsessed with it. I love how they go so well together. I love that it came with a matching set already and we didn't really have to make a decision about what I wanted my wedding band to look like. So I'm really happy that it came with a wedding band when he picked out my engagement ring. So that is it. Honestly, as you guys know, I don't really wear my rings all that often because I work at a gym. And so I did buy, so here's the tea. When I was in Aruba, I was swimming in the ocean and I had my silicone ring on and I lost that silicone ring in the ocean. So here's my #1 tip that I could give anyone ever. Do not wear your wedding band or your engagement ring in the ocean because she scurried away. She left me. And so I lost that silicone ring when I was in Aruba. So I ordered a new one and I actually ordered a second one. So I'm going to be wearing 2 silicone rings. Like they go together. They should actually be in later today. And so I'll be wearing them at work since obviously I'm not going to be wearing my wedding band and my engagement ring. But enough about all of that. Let's get into your questions. So probably the top question of the entire thing was, what was my favorite part of the wedding day? Honestly, it is so hard to say because I genuinely loved every single aspect of our wedding day. I feel like when you talk to brides and you talk to people who get married, everyone kind of like is like, oh my gosh, it was so stressful, it was so this, it was so that. And like, well, yes, it is a very overwhelming day. You should also have fun. Like you probably have waited your whole life for this day. And so it should be something that you actually enjoy. And I loved every aspect of my wedding day. But truly my favorite part of the entire day was Timmy and I decided going into the wedding day that we wanted to do a last dance. I'm sure a lot of you have seen that on like TikTok or Instagram or whatever. And traditionally how it's supposed to be done is that the bride and groom will be together on the dance floor. Nobody else will be in the room except for them two and the DJ obviously playing whatever song you chose. Everyone else has kind of left for the night. So it's one last moment of a little just of an intimate dance. Just the two of you where aren't eyes on you. There isn't a photographer taking pictures, nothing like that. So Timmy and I went into the night knowing that that is what we wanted. We wanted to do a last dance. At the end of the night, basically the only people that were left was us, the DJ, and basically our most intimate friends and family. And so we had about 30 people there at the very end of the night when we were supposed to do our last dance. So Timmy and I decided that we would do our last dance instead of kind of kicking everybody out and just doing it us two, that we would do it with them in the room. And I'm actually really happy about that. We do have a couple pictures, we do have a couple videos of that moment, which was really nice. But I feel like at that point, all of the stress, all of the planning, all of the pictures, all of the professional things that need to be done are done. And you could kind of just take a deep breath, relax, and enjoy the moment. I know for myself, even though I don't mind being like the center of attention, it was a lot for me too, and Timmy hates being the center of attention. So it was super fun at that last moment. It was just the last like 2 minutes of the night, but it felt like it was just the two of us in the room, even though there was our closest friends and family around. And it was really, really such a good way to end the night with just kind of like us and the closest people in our lives to us. So honestly, that was my favorite part of the entire day. Next question is, did you eat on your wedding day / was it overwhelming? Honestly, yes, it was very, very overwhelming, but not in a bad way. It's just very chaotic. It's organized chaos, honestly, because from the moment you woke up, so my hair and makeup artists came at 6:30 in the morning. And so from the moment I woke up to basically the moment I went to sleep that night, it was go, go, go from 6:30 in the morning straight through. You kind of have an organized day planned. You're getting your hair done, you're getting your makeup done, and then the photographer shows up and you're taking pictures, and then you're putting on your dress, and then we're at the church, and then it all just flows, and it feels like you are being pulled in a million different directions at one time. People are asking you to take pictures on their iPhone. The professional photographer wants these pictures from you, and it really does feel like there are so many things going on at one time. So it is very overwhelming just because you want to see everyone. You want to say hi to all these people who came to spend this very important day with you, but you're also being pulled all these different directions by all these different people, and you still have like obligations. Like you still have your father-daughter dance, you still have the mother-son dance, all these things. You still have to cut the cake together. So all these things are still like required of you, as well as wanting to say hi to all these people who came to celebrate you. So it's definitely overwhelming, but I wouldn't say it was in a bad way. I would just remind yourself that at the end of the day, this is your day. And that's kind of what I kept telling myself and saying to Timmy, this is our day. And so if we need a second, or if we want to sit down and eat, people are going to understand that. And so yes, we did eat on our wedding day. We kind of like shoved our face with the salads real quick during that salad portion of the meal, but we did sit down and we ate our dinner. We were in the middle of a conversation with someone when our dinner came out, and we just said, hey, we're so sorry. We know we're gonna get pulled somewhere else in a little bit. Do you mind if we go sit down and eat? And they were like, oh my God, please go eat and don't starve. So everyone was great. I did not eat our cake. Timmy shoved it into my face, like shoved it. Like literally we were going, and I figured he would push it into my face, but he literally it was down my dress, shoved it into my face. So I had that little bit of the cake that went into my mouth and all of that from when he pushed it into my face. And it was really good, but we didn't eat the cake just because it's so busy and chaotic at that point. Plus you're just like having fun and enjoying the night. But we did definitely eat, and I definitely think that it is possible to sit down and eat. During our cocktail hour, we were out taking pictures majority of the time, but right before we went out, we were kind of introduced and we were with the whole reception, and the reception kind of began. Our venue was really awesome, and they brought up a bunch of different things from cocktail hour for us, so we had a little bit to eat before we went down as well. So we did eat. It just obviously, it was very fast and busy, and it is overwhelming, but there was definitely time to eat. You just have to make sure you make time for it. The next question was, how many people did you have at your wedding, and are you happy with that number? I am very, very happy with the number that we ended up with. We ended up with a little over 100 people. I think our final count the day of was right around 105, 106 people. I knew right off the bat that I wanted a more small and intimate wedding, and I know 100 people doesn't sound small at all, but when you come from big families, which both of us do, it is a small number. Our family was a good portion of the people who were there that day. I want to say we probably had close to like 70 family members combined between the two of us, which left about 30 friends from kind of both of us to pull together for the rest of the people. So it really was so nice because I did feel like I got to have a conversation with every single person who was at my wedding. Although you never feel like you spend enough time with every single person, I did feel like I could talk to everyone, which was really important to me, and it was something that I was nervous about. If I had way too many people, that I wouldn't have been able to enjoy my night because I would have been spending so much time just making sure I saw everyone and thanked them for coming that I wouldn't have even been able to like dance on the dance floor or eat or something like that. So I was very, very happy with our total number. I feel like everyone that was supposed to be there was there, and it made me really happy. So I'm definitely happy with our final number. The next question is, what was my favorite part of the honeymoon? Honestly, my favorite part of the honeymoon was just being able to relax. I know that sounds so funny, and we were in the most amazing place. Like, we went to Aruba and it was incredible, and I highly recommend Aruba to anyone who's looking at a honeymoon destination. But honestly, I feel like the last 2-3 weeks leading up to the wedding gets very chaotic, gets very stressful, not because of any particular reason. You just always feel like you have something to do, / you always do have something to do. You are making sure that you have final this, final that, last meetings with people. You're making sure everyone has been paid. You're making sure your bridal party knows what's going on. And it really isn't a ton of stuff. It just kind of feels like, you know, this big massive event is coming up and you feel like there's always something that you need to be doing, even if there isn't. And on top of that, you're working, and on top of that, so it's just like, it is very, very stressful. So it was nice that once we got to Aruba, we didn't have to think of any of that anymore. We were able to lay by the beach all day, every day, and not be stressed at what's the next thing that's required of us. What do we have to plan for this thing or that thing? We could literally wake up and do whatever we wanted to do that day, and that was a nice feeling. I feel like for the past year and a half and a little bit more, our biggest focus has been May 20th, which was our wedding day, and what do we need to do to get ready for that day. And then it's funny because once it's over, it's just over, and then you were able to kind of relax and just be present and be together. So honestly, that was my favorite part, just being able to be just the two of us and relaxing and getting to enjoy each other's presence and having conversation and reflecting a lot on the day and all of that. So it was just really nice to do nothing and just be with Timmy, because that doesn't get to happen all that often. Even when we're home, and even though we live together, we're both busy, we both work full time, so we don't get to spend a ton of time together during the week. So just having like uninterrupted time together was really nice and needed. The next question is, where did we stay for our honeymoon? So we stayed at the Divi Aruba and Tamarin all-inclusive resorts. I absolutely loved it. I have nothing but good things to say about our resort. Honestly, it was awesome. It had about 10 different restaurants that were all included, at like 8 different bars. All the restaurants we ate at were delicious, and they had tons of different options. We got to try new things that we probably wouldn't have tried because it wasn't all-inclusive. So we knew that we could get things, and if we didn't like them, we could just ask for something else. And everyone was so kind and so nice. Our room was amazing. The weather in Aruba was amazing. It was like sunny and 85 the entire time. So the service was incredible, and I would highly recommend. Timmy and I have already talked about going back to the resort that we stayed at because that's just how much we loved it. So definitely like 10 out of 10, I recommend it. It was so great. The next question is, did you work out on your honeymoon / did you eat healthy? So I did work out while I was on my honeymoon. I packed workout clothes. You guys saw it in the last video. It was something that I didn't know if I was going to work out. I didn't know if I was not going to work out, but I figured I would pack clothes anyway. I think I worked out about 4 of the days that we were on our honeymoon, but honestly, it was because I wanted to. I mean, I am up naturally at like 5:36 every single morning, whether I am working, not working, whether I have plans, whether the alarm goes off. Like, I literally am just up at that time, and that wasn't going to change once we were in Aruba. And so I was up at that time every single day, but I wasn't going to wake Timmy up and make him start our day at that time. So I did get up, I went to the gym. They had a beautiful gym at the resort that we were at that had like machines, it had cables, it had dumbbells, it had everything and anything, on top of like having the most beautiful view and being able to look out, and like there was the water. So it was incredible. And honestly, it was not like I didn't hit any PRs, I didn't do anything crazy and miraculous during those workouts. It just felt nice to move my body and get a sweat in. I tried to keep all of my workouts like 45 minutes to an hour every single day that I did work out, because it wasn't the priority. The priority was being with Timmy. The priority was relaxing on our honeymoon. I just did that because it makes me feel good. I enjoy working out, so I wanted to do it, but I didn't want that to be my main focus. And then as far as eating healthy, I think that by nature, what feels good for my body is to eat healthy and to fuel myself with nutritious food. So I would say overall, yes, I did eat fairly healthy while we were on our honeymoon. I did eat salads, I tried new things, I get fish, I got the chicken, but I also like had steak, and I also had tons and tons of mojitos and drinks because it was an all-inclusive, and we had dessert basically every single night. And so I think by nature I tend to just pick the healthier options because that's what I enjoy eating. doing, but I'm not gonna sit here and say I didn't eat fries. I'm not gonna sit here and say I didn't have chips or get pizza occasionally. Like, I have stressed how many times on here that this is my life, and I did not want to change that because I was going away on my honeymoon. I was going to eat the foods that I wanted to eat. I was going to drink because why the heck not? I'm at an all-inclusive and all of these drinks are included. So I definitely enjoyed myself throughout the course of my honeymoon, but I also did take care of my body because that's something that I just enjoy and something that makes me feel good. So I did tend to gravitate towards healthier foods, and I did exercise, but I also like did it when I felt like doing it and didn't when I didn't feel like doing it. The next question is, were you actually able to relax on your honeymoon? I know you struggle with that. Yes, I would say I definitely could relax throughout the course of the honeymoon. I think in the beginning it was very difficult, and I think it's still something that at various times throughout the course of the honeymoon I did struggle with, because I am the type of person who feels guilty if I'm relaxing, and I know a lot of people are like that, and I wish that I wasn't like that. I wish that I could just sit down and watch TV or lay at the beach all day and not feel guilty about it. But there's times where on our honeymoon I was like, we are at an all-inclusive resort, we have all of these cool things to do, and we're laying by the pool or we're laying by the beach and we're just drinking a mojito. Like, we could be doing these excursions, we could be staying out later and doing this, that, and the other thing. And luckily Timmy is so great about that, and he reminds me, like, listen Marissa, like, this is our honeymoon, we can do whatever the heck we want to do. If we want to be out till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night watching the live music and getting drinks, we can. But also, if we want to be in our room by 7 p.m. relaxing and watching TV together, we're allowed to do that as well. And I think just having him remind me of that was really helpful, because I was able to relax. Laying on the beach, I am such a beach person, so laying on the beach, relaxing, doing nothing, just like feeling the sun hit my skin, being in the water, feeling the sand, like, I thrive in those situations. I genuinely love being at the beach, but there's always that little voice in the back of my mind that tells me that I should be doing something productive, I should be checking in with work things. I think that's just how I am by nature. And so Timmy constantly kind of reminding me, being like, we can relax, like, you're allowed to do this, was really, really helpful. So yes, I was able to relax, but definitely it was something that at various points throughout our trip I did feel guilty about. And luckily Timmy is just awesome, and he reminded me, like, listen, you are able to relax. This is your trip. You can do whatever you want with it. And so that was really helpful. The next question is, I know everyone's probably asking, but when are you planning on having kids, and what's next for you two? So everyone is asking, and I think that's really funny because Timmy and I have literally been married for 2 weeks. And obviously, yes, we've been together for about 7 years now. So it's like 2 weeks of marriage, but 7 years of us being together. But it really is like the first question people ask you once you're back is like, oh, when are you thinking about having kids, this, that, or the other thing? Honestly, I don't know when we're planning on having kids. I am at the point now where if it happens, it happens. I have decided that I'm getting off birth control from after we get married. So I'm a little bit of TMI, but whatever. I am on my period now, and so I am finishing out my pack of birth control that I'm on this week, and then I am not planning on taking it come Sunday, when I would have to start back up on my next pack of pills. And that was a decision I made, not because I want to have kids right at this moment, but also because I know it can be a process for your body to get back to normal. And so I decided to just get off of it, and if it takes a month for me to be regular again, then so be it. And if it takes 6, 7, 8 months, then I've given myself time. In my most ideal and perfect timeline, I think that I would like to wait at least 1.5 to 2 years before having kids, of us being married, just because we are young. And yes, I want to be a young parent, but 24 or 25 is still very young to have kids, in my opinion. And so I think that I would like to wait. I think it's also very dependent on what's next for us, is buying a house. That's our next big thing that we want to do together. And so for us, I think it's very difficult for me to think about having a baby right now in our 1-bedroom apartment that we currently live in. And while it's definitely doable, and while if it happens, we will be so excited and we will make it work and we'll figure it out as we go. We are definitely not against having kids right now. I don't want it to make it seem that way, but we definitely are not like actively trying to have kids at the moment. And I'm going to be just honest with you guys. I'm going to keep you updated, obviously, on the process of all of that, the process of coming off of birth control, because I know that that's something a lot of people aren't transparent about. So you guys know that I'll be transparent with you guys about it. But I would say in our most ideal and perfect timeline, we would probably wait anywhere from a year to 2 years before we start trying to have kids. Obviously, if it happens, it happens. And I will be so happy, and we'll figure it out, and we'll have little babies, and we will make the best of it and enjoy every second of it. But I would think that is our timeline as of now, because until we get a house, I just don't think that my brain allows me to think about having kids, just because where the heck are we going to put a baby in our 1-bedroom apartment? And so our next big step is going to be to start the process of looking for a house all over again, and then hopefully that all works out this time around, and we will go from there. But as of right now, that's kind of my timeline. But once again, I'm at the point now where if it happens, it happens, but we're definitely not actively trying at this moment. The next question is, do you feel different now that you are married? Honestly, this is a question that I've gotten a lot of, and honestly, yes and no. No, because Tammy and I have been together for so long and we live together. So I feel like moving in together, quite frankly, was a bigger step than being married to each other, just because we've been dating for so long and we were engaged and whatever. So I feel like moving in together and being with each other 24/7 and our homes being the same home was a bigger step for us than being married. But it definitely does feel different being married, just in the sense of like, now Timmy gets to wear a wedding band, and like, if you are a girl and you have your husband wear that wedding band, which is weird, like just calling him my husband is strange to me still, because I've called him my boyfriend and then my fiance for so long. So seeing the person that you were with for so long, who became your fiance, who is now your husband, wear a wedding band, I think that is just, there's just something so special about that. And so I can't like look at his hand and see the wedding band without like smiling and just being happy about it, because it's something that us being married to each other is something that we've talked about since we were 16 and 17 years old, and now we're 23 and 25. And I just think it's crazy that the person that I fell in love with as a junior in high school is now my husband. So I think that that aspect of it, yes, it does feel different. It feels like crazy to me that this is a reality now, but honestly, it still doesn't even feel real. Like, I say that, but also it doesn't even feel like we've been married. Like, it feels like, oh my god, we had this big, amazing, awesome event, but it still doesn't feel like official. Like, I still feel like I'm like 16 in my brain. And so I feel like us being married or being husband and wife just still sounds like a crazy concept, even though it's the reality now. So no, it doesn't feel different, because we've been together for so long and nothing really has changed, except now I have to do all this paperwork to change my last name. But yes, it also feels different because it is different, and we're married, and I'm going to share I share his last name now, but legally I will soon share his last name, and he gets to wear a wedding band, which is really, really awesome. And I get to call him my husband, which is pretty fun. The next question is, what are your top tips for brides getting married soon? This is a really good question, actually, and I really would have to think about like specifics of it, but honestly, I think the biggest tip that I can give you is that you are not in this by yourself. You as a bride are not in this by yourself. A wedding is with you and your significant other. And so I think it is so important that you do it together. I have heard from so many of my clients, and most of them are females, that said, when I was planning my wedding, I felt like I was doing it all by myself. My significant other, I would tell them what needs to be done of them and they wouldn't do it, or I would say, just show up at this place at this time, and that's all that they would do. They didn't make emails, they didn't make phone calls, any of that. And I genuinely feel like, for me, I think out of the two of us, Timmy is definitely the more high-strung, stressed out one than I am, just because he is more like, write everything down, super, super organized. Like, he was if either of us was going to be, which neither of us were, but if either of us was going to be, he was definitely the more of like the bridezilla of the two. He was just more organized, more planned, the whole nine. But we did everything together. Emails were sent out together, meetings were done together, we did phone calls together, the whole thing. I feel like we did. There were some things that I said, hey, when you have a second, can you email this person? There were some things that he said, hey, I need you to email this person or get in contact with this. You do it together. So I feel like if you attack this as a team, it's not that bad. I feel like everyone is so stressed about planning a wedding, and there's so many factors of why you could be stressed planning your wedding, but I feel like one of the biggest things is it feels like one person is single-handedly doing all of the work, and it does not need to be that way. You guys are getting married to each other, and you should be doing this together as a process. Obviously, there are a lot of outside factors, friends and family and financial things that can make this process very, very stressful, and I'm not taking that away from anyone who might experience any of those stressors that maybe Timmy and I did not experience. But for us, I think one of the things that I've heard from so many people, from so many of my clients, from just people I've talked to, because when you do get engaged and you're planning a wedding, everyone wants to give you their opinion on everything. So I would say my 2 biggest tips is do it with your significant other. Plan it with your significant other. Make sure they are involved with the process just as much as you are. And 2, listen to what people have to say, because some people do give really good advice and they give you good tips and things that they did that maybe you wouldn't have thought of, but also remind yourself that this is your day, and just because somebody who you're talking to is telling you to do it this way or this way, that doesn't make either option right or wrong. That's just how you want to do it and how they want to do it. So make sure that you are planning the day that you want. And if you want something and somebody's telling you you shouldn't do it that way, but that's the way you want it, do it that way. At the end of the day, this is your wedding, and nobody else's opinions really matter besides you and your significant other. So please just remind yourself of that, because it can sometimes feel like everyone else's voices are very loud. So just remind yourselves that the only people's opinions, the only people's day it is you and your significant others. Everybody else, if they love you and they care about you, they are going to understand that that's what you want, and they will help you get the most perfect day, even if it isn't how they would do it. And the last question is, what is your current workout split now moving forward? So the workout split that I have right now is on Mondays I'm doing a glute and a hamstring day. Tuesdays I am doing chest and back. Wednesdays I am doing an active recovery day because I teach a 5:45 in the morning class that I do a cardio strength class. So I'm doing cardio typically right before I do that class, or I am just doing that class where I'm lifting light weights, but it's mostly just cardio based movements with light weights. Thursday I am taking the 6 a.m. class, which is a lower body focused class. Fridays is my shoulders, triceps, and biceps day. And then Saturday, when I work out, is either a full body day or an active recovery, a yoga, a cardio, a core, whatever I feel like doing. Saturday is kind of my like whatever you want to do day if you want to work out. That is my split that I've been doing for a little bit now. I got right back into it when I came home from my honeymoon. I don't know how much longer I will do it this way, if I'll be switching it up in the near future, but as of the past few weeks and what I did this week, what I plan on doing this week, that is my split for now. I've been loving it. It gives me the opportunity to lift really heavy 4 days and then have 2 other days as either cardio days or whatever the heck I want to do, whether it's take a class, whether it's do yoga, whether it's do nothing. So 4 definite heavy lifting days, and then the other 1 definite rest day, and the other 2 I can kind of decide based off of how I feel, which I think is great. I've given myself a lot more flexibility, which is a nice feeling. All right, y'all, I am going to wrap up the video here. I hope you guys liked this video. It was so much fun just sitting down and catching up with you guys. I feel like on YouTube especially, you really get like the long form content. You get to hear me rant, you get to hear the ins and outs of everything. So it's always nice. I always feel so much more intimate with my YouTube fam than kind of anyone else, just because I feel like you see the most of me because you see it in the longest content. But regardless, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please make sure you go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. You already know it supports my channel. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell notification so you don't miss another video that I post. If you haven't already, make sure that you follow me on my Instagram so you can see all the fitness, health, and lifestyle content that I post on there. And I'll catch you guys here next time.